This is the Motorola Edge 60 Fusion, and it could be one of the best mid-range smartphones of the year. Let's take a look. Now let's first start unboxing this guy, and to start with, you've got typical smartphone trimmings. You've got an eco-friendly box, bit of paperwork, USB-C cable, an interesting ejector tool, and of course a case so that your phone is protected right out of the box. Love that. And then of course you've got the phone itself. Now the name Edge is spot on because the phone has a curved edge which blends in really nicely with the surrounding frame, and the subtly curved back with a soft textured look. It's a really nice design. It's quite a thin phone, and given that the vast majority of phones nowadays are these sharp, boxy rectangular blocks, seeing these curves really helps it stand out. Now holding the phone itself is really comfortable thanks to those curves, and it's pretty light too. I could hold this phone all day, no problems, taking photos and videos without any real fatigue. But despite its lightweight, the phone itself is really rugged. It's got IP69 waterproof rating plus a military grade standard, and it also comes with Gorilla Glass 7i on the front, so it's going to cop drops and scratches better than most. Now in terms of hardware, you're not compromising much at all here, with the Edge 60 Fusion sporting features that you could only find in flagship phones only just a couple of years ago. So for example, on the front you've got a stunning 6.7-inch curved
OLED Super HD
1220p screen that goes up to a buttery smooth 120Hz and a whopping 4500 nits of peak brightness, which I'm sure is one of the highest on the market at the moment of any phone, not just a mid-range phone, any phone. So it's going to be absolutely fine outdoors, even in sunny Australia. It's also got a super smooth 300 touch sampling rate, so scrolling and touching is buttery smooth. Plus it's got a huge 5200 mAh battery, 12 gigs of RAM, and a MediaTek Dimensity 7300 CPU. It has NFC built in for things like Google Pay, and stereo speakers on the top and bottom, which actually sound quite good for music and video watching. Again, these are features often missing in phones in this class. And one incredibly underrated feature it has is expandable micro SD card storage, up to 1 terabyte. Something so incredible, but I love that. Now on the back, you've got a 50 megapixel standard wide camera, and it's the first phone to feature Sony's Lightyear 700C image sensor, and it's got an f1.8 aperture, optical image stabilization, and the color has been validated by Pantone, which is one of the leading international authorities on color, so you get super color accurate photos. What you see is what you get. On top of that, you've got a 13 megapixel ultra wide autofocusing lens with macro. Again, features that you only really see in flagship phones. And then on the front, you've got a whopping 32 megapixel front facing selfie for super sharp photos. But what really sets the Edge 60 Fusion apart? Well, as with most things to do with tech in 2025, AI is at the heart of what this phone can and will do. And whilst you might think for a phone in this price range with its mid-range CPU, there's no way AI can be powered here, well, you'd be wrong. Mid-range phones in 2025 have power that can beat out flagship phones from even just a few years ago. And as a result, the Edge 60 Fusion has Motorola's Moto AI technology built in, acting as a useful layer on top of your favorite AI assistants. It's designed to quietly provide useful information like catching you up on notifications and prioritizing messages that you might have missed. So for example, if you're offline for a few hours to go to a meeting and then come back online, instead of going through every single message, Moto AI will help summarize everything for you. It's unobtrusive and it blends in seamlessly with the whole Android UI. All of this in a mid-range phone that doesn't break the bank. And we love that in a cost of living crisis. And of course, for everything else, the phone just crushes it with no signs of lag or stuttering. Even with that mid-range CPU, it sits atop of Android 15 with its really clean and stock UI experience, and that just means browsing the web, watching videos, and even playing some pretty graphically intensive games. There's no real issues whatsoever. Even the little vibration motor feels a lot more expensive than the price suggests. One thing I probably would change though is the placement of that fingerprint sensor. It's pretty low. Not the most comfortable in the world. But that's a small detail because it works really fast and accurately. But speaking of crushing it, the Edge 60's Fusion camera absolutely crushes photos. The 50 megapixel main camera has some really nice true to life photos in most situations, aside from absolute pitch black darkness. On the whole, photos show nice detail, accurate color reproduction thanks to Motorola's PANTONE collaboration, and honestly, there's not been any real scenarios that trips it up. I also love that the ultra-wide camera has autofocus and a macro feature. Photos taken here are sharp, detailed, and doesn't show much distortion, which often is a huge pain point with ultra-wides, even in so-called flagship phones. On top of this, the cameras can shoot up to 4K 60 frames per second, and video quality is pretty good. It's got nice stabilization even at 4K. And then on the front, the 32 megapixel camera shoots nice detailed shots, and it even manages low light shots pretty well, maintaining a decent level of detail and noise. I also love that you can still do the twist to start camera, so absolutely no complaints here whatsoever. And I honestly think for the majority of users, it's going to be absolutely fine. Honestly, there's not a lot of difference between mid-range phones and flagships for cameras, and this is no different. But all of this would be for naught if the phone couldn't last the distance. And fortunately, one of the best features of mid-range phones is also down to its most important downsides, and that's that slightly lower powered CPU. So when you combine that huge 5200 mAh battery with a low powered CPU, well, you're going to get some pretty great battery life. Because I was getting regularly at the end of a day well above 50% of charge, and if you pick up the optional Motorola Turbo Power charger, you can fast charge up to 12 hours in just 8 minutes. Now unfortunately there's no wireless charging here, but when you can quickly charge in just 8 minutes, then it's not really going to be an issue for most people. And that's basically it. Having used it for the last week or so, the Motorola Edge 60 Fusion has really impressed me. You're not really missing out on anything here. Sure, it's a mid-range phone with a mid-range price, but honestly, performance punches well above its weight. And I've really enjoyed the nostalgia of using the curved edges. And honestly, throughout this time, I've never really felt like I haven't been using a flagship phone. And that's probably the best compliment you can give any mid-range phone, is that it doesn't feel like one. And so for all those reasons, the Edge 60 Fusion for me could be one of the best in 2025. But what do you think? Do you think the Edge 60 Fusion is a good mid-range phone in this year? Let me know why or why not in the comments section below. Thanks so much for watching the video, guys. If you enjoyed what you saw, give us a like, subscribe for more, and of course, ding the bell icon so you don't miss out. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.